drop it right there on the table. I see.
Good evening. We're going to call our meeting to order. If you have cell phones, to please turn them off at this time or put them on silence. We will stand and have pledge of allegiance by Councilmember Joyce and prayer by Mayor Pro Tem Reed.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If you would like to pray with us, would you please remain standing? Dear God of us all, as we gather tonight, we ask you to just look upon us, God. Allow us to make decisions on behalf of the citizens and the city of Madison. I ask you to bless the agenda that has been set before us. Touch us each one by one, name by name, person by person, Lord. Allow your will to be done on earth as it is in heaven. Lord, we thank you for this day, a day that you have made, a day that we shall all rejoice and be glad in. Come and asking you for unity in our community. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Microphones are not loud.
Approval of agenda items. There anything that need to be added or deleted from our agenda this evening? If not, our consent agenda. Minutes from August 29th and September the 8th regular meeting. Contract items agreement PI M006616 Morgan City of Madison Water and Sewer Facilities and Water Withdrawal Agreement Sean Wood. I believe we talked about this in our work session. We can get a motion on the second to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Any more discussions? All in favor, show of hands. Opposed, none. Vote unanimously. Did I mention minutes from August 29th and September 8th regular meeting? I don't think I did that. Okay, good. Okay, good. This time I have a zoning hearing, public hearing, conditional use, Carissa Realms, 992 Map Street, M07077, Molly Bogan. Molly.
Hello, how are you all this evening?
Good, how are you?
Hello.
I am here in Jill's stead. I hope I do her justice. All right. There we go. Right, the applicant is requesting a conditional use to install a new manufactured home at 992 Map Street, parcel identification number M07077, zoned R4. There are 3 other manufactured homes in the immediate area, one each along Burney, Map, and Whitehall Streets. The request does appear to meet all standards of section 1125.5. Just for a brief history lesson, you have had 3 conditional use requests for manufactured homes in the last 6-ish years. The first, February 13th of 2023, was along Commerce Street, which is our Beacon Heights area. That was approved by council. In October of 2021, we had a request for a manufactured home at 526 Vine Street. That's in our Vine Maple Street area. That was denied. And we had a request in May of 2019 along East Jefferson Street, also in our Vine Maple Street area. That was approved. So just to give you a little idea of what you've had before you in the last 5 or 6 years. Here's an image of the home and a site plan, or floor plan, I should say. The Planning and Zoning Commission did recommend approval unanimously. And here's your summary slide. We do recommend that any approval of the conditional use include the following reasoning. All applicable standards of 1125.5 appear to be met. Happy to answer any questions you might have.
Molly, this is a new manufactured home as opposed to a pre-owned, right?
That is my understanding.
Mr. Mayor, may I?
Sure.
Is it a modular home, a stick-built home?
It is not. It is a manufactured home. It does have a HUD certificate.
I think there's one already there.
There is one immediately across the street from this location, and there is also one on the two streets to either side as well. So 3 in the immediate area currently.
And this lot, I believe, had a house on it that was demolished 4 or 5 years ago, something like that?
That sounds right, yeah.
And it had a house on it, and the house was demolished because it was not livable, or?
That I could not say. Oh, Monica can.
That house was an exchange deal with Mr. Jackson, if I remember, if that is the correct address, 992 Map Street. It was, he wanted the lot with the house gone, and so there was a trade, and he received that in exchange for the lot that the parking lot for the Gilmore House went on. I believe that's the lot in question.
Was it a manufactured home there at first? Was it it was a home, it wasn't a single wide?
No, I believe it was a stick-built home. That's correct. I believe it was, I'm not saying that out loud. It's the one that had the tar paper on the outside. It was wood clad.
Understood. I'm with you there. I kept.
It's an old home, I remember that,
Yeah.
yeah.
If I may?
Sure.
We've approved a manufactured home, so there's been 3 previous, is that correct? So sorry, let me.
Yes,
think about
3
that.
previous. You have approved 2, denied 1. None of them have been in the Map Street area, though. Those were in Beacon and Vine Maple.
Okay. In general, if I may ask, what is our feeling about manufactured homes? I mean, kind of how are we seeing them? I'll ask that in reference to the character of Madison as it evolves. I know we have all levels of housing, that sort of thing. How are we with manufactured homes in that regard, in keeping with the character?
It's tricky because it is one of the most affordable options for people to have a piece of property that is their own and a detached home that is their own. However, it doesn't improve the value as much as a stick-built home. Typically, they're in the range of anywhere between $30,000 and $60,000 in value, depending on the age and condition. Whereas a stick-built home in this area specifically is upwards of double of that and more. And so the value.
Either that or a modular.
Or a modular. Modulars are considered the same as stick-built, so they would have the same value on the land, would be assessed the same value, whether it was built on the property or built as a modular unit and brought onto the property, they're assessed the same. A manufactured home is assessed at about half the value or less of a stick-built or modular home. And so there's less wealth building associated with that,
Right.
absolutely. But again, it is one of the more affordable options in a very tight housing market.
Even if I may ask a follow-up, would this be a bit of a slippery slope? I mean, I know we've approved 2 but it's been quite a while. Is this sort of Is this something, would we be getting ourselves into a little bit of a slippery slope if, for approving manufactured homes, and then something else comes along and you approve that one, why not us?
I would almost like to ask Jay to speak to any sort of, I would think it would have to be similarly situated and show the same sorts of conditions.
That's right, and what you described is that there's some in the surrounding area, so there, there's a little bit of a, I hate to use the word precedent in that area, but it fits that community. And so approving that doesn't make this widespread throughout, but just in those similarly situated properties.
Understood.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Okay, you said it fits that community. What exactly does the fit mean?
Just that there's already similar prefabished homes in that community. Yeah.
Okay, because I remember at one point, we was talking about we would not have any more double wides anywhere in the city at all. I thought that was in our ordinance, but maybe you all can speak to that.
So Carrie, I'm going to add to that. One of the things, Molly only pulled the last 6 years, and she and I briefly said, Carrie's going to tag that one when we come in. So what you're remembering is there was a denial for a conditional use for manufactured homes on the corner of Garnett and Eliza Morris that it's probably not in a 6-year window, but it might be in a 10-year window.
It's 10-year.
And there was great discussion about the council at that time about the lifting up of the URA area and trying to see it gain in both tax value in West Building. And at that time, manufactured homes were seen as not doing that to the same level. I think I'm being as the stick-built or the modular. But since then, you have made decisions in the context of using a conditional use application very carefully and very tightly. So that's what the conditional permit's for, is for you to consider the immediate adjacent area and tailor it specifically to that area. So I think it would depend whether you're viewing the broader URA or if you're pulling it in straight to Map Street, and if you see that as a different contextualization.
Absolutely, and you brought up one point I just want to clarify a little bit, is not only does manufactured housing not appreciate in value, it actually depreciates. And so over time, what is valued at 60 to 80,000 new is now valued at 20 and 30. Some of our older manufactured homes are valued at a lot less. I hate the metaphor, but they're much like vehicles. They depreciate the minute they are pulled off of a lot and placed onto a site, and they depreciate over time.
But what's important is for us not to indiscriminately discriminate against
Yes.
a specific building type, which is manufactured homes. It's more important for you to consider the exact context. I thought Councilmember Joyce pointed that out a little bit when he asked the question of whether it was a new or a repurposed manufactured dwelling, because if I remember correctly, that might have been the context of one of our no's in the past, was that it was a repurposed one as opposed to a new one, but I would have to check details to be absolutely
Yeah,
sure
I was
about
gonna
that.
say, I think
There's
it was
also more,
stick-built.
there's also stricter code requirements for a used one. There's more inspections involved before it can be occupied than for a new one. That's,
And I would just finish by saying, the fact that there are 3 on those 3 streets, I actually think shows that there is a preponderance or a majority of non-manufactured homes. So I actually think the area is less indicative of a manufactured home neighborhood. It is very much more of a stick-built, older homes. So saying that there are 3, I wasn't actually saying that there were a lot. There actually seem to be very few here.
And I remember the time that we did, we talked about the one on Eliza Morris and Garnett Street. And at that particular time, it's been years and years ago, mobile home was not built to me to the satisfaction for family living, but now they're being built much, much better. And also, I was reading a letter that was written to Jill. So she's a single woman, single mother. I think has a 25-year-old son living with her, as well as a 6-year-old. And I think she lives maybe, I think it said Madison Square, but wants to move out of Madison Square to own something of her own. It really says a lot when we talk about people's affordable homes, people's making their lives better. So what better way to do that?
And I think it's really important for us, and this is in no way meant as a reprimand, Mr. Mayor. It's incumbent upon us to remember to talk about it in terms of the property, and specifically the context of the construction and the quality of construction. I'm not saying that this is a good or a bad thing. It's just that those circumstances change per property owner. And so it's just, the question is this a building pattern that seems conducive to Map Street and that you would allow more of, or is it an instance where you think it's appropriate at this time? We get into trouble when we start either looking at the type of dwelling or the type of person.
Tenants,
Yes.
Because a landlord could put a home down and then have different tenants in it. So it's hard to judge tenancy. That makes it really tough.
Mr. Mayor, may I?
Sure.
I think, Monica, the one that we were talked about that was 10 years ago was a used one because they wanted to move it from a lot that was already there to the new lot that they wanted to move it to.
I believe that was the case. It was Mr. Jackson's property, and I'm almost positive that relocation was coming from the county into the city, if I remember correctly. But
No, it was 10 years ago. It was on the corner of Eliza Morris and Pearl Street. He was moving his daughters from Garnett Street
That's right.
onto the corner of Eliza Morris and Pearl Street, and those two homes were already in the city. I could not vote on it because it would have been a conflict of interest,
Right.
but it did get voted down.
Okay.
I wanted to know if it was in our ordinance that it said that we were no longer, that was my thing. I know I care about her being a single mom. I care about the kids and home ownership, but we still need to follow the law and the rules.
Right. We heard that clearly when the Jackson hearing went on. We had a lot of people from the neighborhood in here speaking to that. But that is not in our ordinance as absolute no or not permitted. It is a conditional use for you to consider the specific location. At the time you made that no judgment, you based it on the rising tides of the URA area.
And Mayor, the case I remember was the one on Vine Street.
Yes.
And that was, I believe that even had
That's the recent.
a trailer or a mobile home or a manufactured home that burned, and he wanted to rebuild another mobile home, and I believe we turned that down. And
We did.
I sort of recall one of the arguments was that we had turned them down in the Canaan neighborhood.
That's right.
And we wanted to try and find the ever elusive challenge of consistency as we do these variances and conditional uses. It's really hard to have a consistent policy. But that was one of the arguments, was that, well, we said no in Canaan, how can we say yes over in this neighborhood?
Yes.
Is a manufactured home, is it a different class than, well, I think I was chastised for referring to something as a trailer. What is the other term that's?
So there's manufactured, which is, in layman's term, is a trailer. And there's modular,
Modular.
which is stick-built in a factory and then brought on-site and placed onto a permanent
Because
foundation.
I noticed there was a reference to the structure's tongue, and I figured that means something that gets attached to a
Yes.
truck and hauled.
Yes.
So,
And that is usually then pinned down. I believe there's some sort of wire system that pins it to the ground, and any foundation. Yeah, so we require a skirt, so it almost looks like it's on a foundation, but it's not. It's sort of a faux foundation around it.
and it looks like, is your site map, all the arrows, is that measuring the 30 feet from existing buildings?
You know
'Cause
what?
I-
I haven't seen her site map of that.
Well, I
That
think
could be.
it's in our packet, a bunch of lines. It looked like to me like it was,
Oh, she most
It's
likely
the
is.
site plan?
She most likely
it
is
looked like it was,
looking at.
it looked like it was measuring,
setbacks.
because it's required to be 30 feet away from
Yeah.
everything other than their own garage, I
Yes,
think.
yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Molly. There are no more questions from the council. We'll open our public hearing up. Is there anyone here to speak for the conditional use for Carissa Realms at 992 Map Street? Anyone here to speak against this conditional use for Marissa Realms? If not, the public hearing is closed. It's back to a council for a vote.
Carrie, I hate to put the burden on you, but I do look to you as the
Yeah, I'm looking
representative
for
for
it.
that district. What are your thoughts?
I am looking for it now. I would like to approve it, but I want us to make sure we have a conversation about what we are allowing and what we're not allowing. Not according to what district it is, but according to the city as a whole. But today, as Monica said earlier, this is a conditional use, and we've done conditional uses before. So I would like to motion to approve. Let me get to my wording. I would like to make a motion to approve the conditional use at M07077 based on public hearing and discussion and considering applicable standards with the following conditions, clarifications, and/or changes. All applicable standards of 1125.5 appear to be met.
Second.
Are there any more discussion? All in favor, show of hands. Opposes? Let the record show that one opposed. Councilmember Joyce. Thank you so much. Motion carried. Public hearing, conditional use, Zachary Williams, 1091 Bromerwood Drive, 036B009. Molly?
Yes. So the applicant is requesting a conditional use to build a two-family dwelling or duplex at 1091 Bramblewood Drive, parcel identification number 036B009, also zoned R4. The area currently consists of both single-family and multifamily residential. The request does appear to meet all standards of section 1125.5. Again, to give us a little bit of a background on this, this was approved for 2 duplexes. It was then approved for a 4-plex, and Mr. Williams is now coming back to place a single duplex on the site. He did come to you last year for 2 duplexes, so same number of units, just in a different configuration over time. Now is requesting simply a single duplex, so 2 units. Here's an image of the area in which it would go, as well as a rendering of the building, the front and the rear. Planning and Zoning Commission did recommend approval unanimously. And again, any motion to approve the conditional use would be with the understanding that it meets all applicable standards of 1125.5. Happy to answer any questions, and I do know that Mr. Williams is here today to speak to you as well.
Are there any questions for Molly? If not, the public hearing is open for the conditional use for Zachary Williams, 1091 Bromerwood Drive, 3036B009. Is there anyone here to speak for this conditional use? Anyone here to speak against this conditional use? If not, the public hearing is closed. It's back to our council for a vote.
Mr.
Mr.
Williams
Mayor.
had no interest in making a comment?
Yes, if you have any questions for me, I'm happy to answer.
I think it's been before us before, but just a couple of years ago, I think it were. And we certainly appreciate what you're doing in our city, for our people here in our community as well.
Is this, Zach, is this particular design identical or very similar to the one that we approved some years ago that the mayor just referenced?
It's slightly different. This will have it is 2 level, so we'll have 2 bedrooms up on the 2nd level and 1 bedroom down on the 1st level. I did come before the city for an apartment house, and you guys approved it. And then I came back to split, to subdivide that lot into 2 lots, and I asked for a variance, and I was denied. And so, you know, apartment house is not feasible right now with the interest rate, so it's like, I'm back to the drawing board, so just build a duplex and just be done with it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. No more comments from the council. If not, we'll Open for a motion and a second on this conditional use.
Well, Mr. Mayor, I feel like, since we have discussed this property several times, and we've approved some and not approved others, I feel like we've already kind of visited this here, and I'd be happy to move that we approve the application.
Thank you.
As stated, it's up there. Approve the conditional use 036B009 based on the public hearing and discussion and considering applicable standards of 1125.2 appear to be met. 1125.5 appear to be met.
Second.
Are there any more discussion? All in favor, show of hands. Opposed, none, vote unanimously. Thank you so much. Legal Matters, Madison Trolley lease agreement. We've had an opportunity to read that. John, you want to talk about that briefly?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. The lease before you is a one-year lease with Madison Trolley Company LLC for the lease of a small section of sidewalk on East Jefferson Street on the Post Office Square side for the purpose of putting a kiosk related to the trolley business. The location has been worked out with us, and we're satisfied with it. We are delighted at the truly beautiful renovation of the trolley, the tasteful building that has been erected, and we're excited about this new business in the city. Bob brings a level of enthusiasm and creativity that is infectious, and his knowledge of the city's history is growing by the day. He certainly is no Ken Coker, but he's getting there. So I just wanted to publicly thank Bob for working with us. He has been patient. This is kind of like a unique thing that appeared, and we weren't sure what our approach was going to be. And Bob has been the utmost gentleman in working with us, and we're excited about his start. We think it's necessary for him to have a small location to sell his tickets and what have you. And if you haven't seen it yet, when you do see it, you'll see that it was tastefully built. And if you haven't seen the trolley, I think you'll be delighted with that as well. That's all I had, and I don't know, Bob, if you have anything else. The lease was drafted by our city attorney to protect the interests of the city, and it's a one-year lease.
Thank you, John. And I don't know if any of you guys remember when the police station was on the corner there. It sort of resembles that, but in a modern style, but it was put down the street a little bit further. So we thank you, Bob, for doing that. So, our council member have any discussion? If not, we can make a motion to approve this lease agreement.
Yeah, I had a question or two, if I could, Mayor.
Sure.
So this agreement has nothing to do with the actual operation of the trolley. It's simply the kiosk, is that right?
Yeah,
Okay.
thank you.
I noticed the first day of the term is September 1st. Here we are, the middle of October. Do we need to adjust that date for the contract? And secondly, I was kind of curious as to why there's been a 6-month deferment on the rent.
The purpose of this contract was, I think, to get him off his feet until he finds a permanent location. And so the city wants to help him out any way that we can in doing that. I think the date is appropriate because he's already erected it, so we want to sort of backdate it to the time that he's actually been using that property.
What if we turn it down?
I'll be very sad.
Yeah.
And I don't know how to get those screws out of the ground.
They're that long?
They are literally about, I would say, about that deep, so that if a tornado came through,
Maybe
they
we'll have to
would
approve it
stay.
then.
If I may, it's over there, it's little, it's pretty cute. And I know the hours you'll be operating are a little bit different. I mean, otherwise, this is not taking away any parking spaces, is it? I mean, apart from, now, I mean, is your trolley going there or just your booth?
So at the, as you turn onto Hancock Street, there's a yellow curb that is a designated commercial loading and unloading zone.
Okay, got you.
So it can't be used for anything but that. And the trolley will only be there when I'm very nearby, and if something happens that somebody needs to load or unload, then I get out of the way, type
Gotcha.
of thing. So
Oh,
we're
gotcha.
not
Okay.
taking away from anything it was currently being used from.
Perfect.
For.
Thank you.
Okay. There's no more discussion, we're ready for a vote.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve the Madison Trolley lease agreement.
I second the
Second.
motion.
Are there any more discussion? All in favor, show of hands. Opposed, none, vote unanimously. Thank you so much. Unfinished business, public hearing, budget amendment, Karen.
Yes, sir. You should have received an email, but I placed a hard copy at your seat of the budget amendment, proposed budget amendment. Now that we're closing fiscal year 2025, a year-end budget amendment is required to meet operational demands and state law. This is a process that occurs every year in preparation for the annual audit. The proposed amendment is increasing the original general fund budget of $6,659,000 by only $76,000. After reallocating existing funds to cover increases in certain departments, the main increase is due to a police grant of $40,000 for patrol laptops. The $40,000 grant was awarded after the original budget was approved. Other adjustments are to the Special Revenue Fund and the Capital Projects Fund. These funds are restricted for specific purposes or for capital projects. In all, the overall increase to the original adopted budget of $21,774,000 is $243,000. This amendment is necessary to ensure the successful and timing completion of the annual audit, and I'll be happy to answer any questions if you have any.
Are there any questions for Karen?
Yeah, please, Mayor. So basically, if I've got, for the layman in me that doesn't know a great deal about accounting, this is simply the list of variances from what we budgeted and what we passed as a budget, variances to income and expenses that were different than what we passed. Is that basically it? You're reconciling minor differences?
Yes, sir.
That's it?
Yes, sir.
Sir?
It's basically if a department is bottom line over budget at year end, that one would be a finding in the audit. And so what I consider a year-end budget amendment is necessary to clear up some of the overages of certain departments. And where departments that weren't over and still had funds available, we were able to use those to shift them up to the departments that were over budget.
So just as an example, if you look at SPLOST 7, I guess on the last page, we underspent in vehicles $400,000, and then we overspent $405,000. Why wouldn't that
So-
just kind of wash? I know there's two
It
different
does.
codes there, so different.
That's all that is it's not increasing the SPLOST 7 budget at all. I'm moving funds from one line item to
So
another.
one type of vehicle to a different type of vehicle?
The original vehicle was budgeted technically as a street department vehicle, but should have been purchased out of SPLOST for sanitation purposes.
I see.
And so the original funds, or vice versa, the original funds were budgeted under the sanitation department in SPLOST, and it was really, or it should have been for a street department.
And one final question, Karen, is the variance that we see here overall, is it pretty commensurate with what has been in past years?
This is actually, I would say a lot less. This is a 1% increase. And so I think that this
Well, good.
this past year has been good.
That sounds like John and you are doing a good job. Thank you.
Thank you. And it is a public hearing.
Okay. Are you finished? Thank you, Karen.
Thank you, Karen.
Public hearing is open for the fiscal year 2025 budget amendment. Is there anyone here to speak for this adjustment? Anyone here to speak against? Not, the public hearing is closed, and it's back to our council member for a vote. Thanks, Karen.
Yeah, Mayor, I would move to accept the resolution approving the 2022, and that's not the right year, the 2025 budget amendment number 1, as presented with the exception of the date change.
Second.
Are there any more discussion? All in favor, show of hands. Opposes? None, vote unanimously. Thank you so much.
And I think, as long as we're just talking about budget for a second, I don't know, I mean, I personally haven't congratulated Karen and John for the National Budget Award that the city received for the outstanding work, so standing ovation to you, but I'm still sitting.
Hear,
But
hear.
anyway, brilliant job. Proud of you for that and showing that our city is still hitting above its weight class.
Thanks, Betsy, appreciate that. Green print contract, Monica?
Yes, sir. What, following along? Good evening. So I'm gonna, since it made the agenda, I'm going to go over the things we discussed in the work session, so that way if there's any members of the public that want to comment on that, they'll have that information. So it's that time again. We're getting started for our comprehensive plan toward the end of the year, and we're already taking RFPs on that. As we do that, we usually prepare a couple of pre-studies or very specific deep dive documents. So I'm going to remind you that in 2003, we were fortunate enough to have the Conservancy participate. They located money from the Trust for Public Land, and they were able to get the county to incorporate that into their document in 2004. And that's when we entered our first joint comprehensive plan that actually had green space planning in it, which was exciting. Since then, in 2008, the Conservancy was hired to actually write the component for the City of Madison in advance of our 2009 comprehensive plan update. So here we are again, doing the full plan all over again, and we have the fortune to also want to work with the Conservancy once again because they are familiar with our data. So we did have to talk them a little bit off their price. We're going to have to do a little bit in-house to keep it affordable, but you have a contract before you for the same services they provided in 2004. And that contract is for $20,000, and it again maps our green print resources. It goes through a public engagement process when we incorporate it into the comprehensive plan, and it identifies goals and aspirations for us. One of the things we're going to see this time that is going to be new, if y'all so see fit, is it's going to also include an analysis, which I like, on how well we did from our 2009 aspirations. So kind of that was then and this is now. How did we do since then? I think we're going to get a good report card, but I'm hoping that y'all will see how far we've come with green space because of the guidance of the Green Space Commission. Don't want to give them any slack, your support, and because the Conservancy kicked the ball off in the first place. So I believe there are some representatives here this evening that might want to speak to it if you have specific questions, but I'm also happy to answer your questions first. And it's not a public hearing, it's just a matter of y'all asking questions and me giving feedback. So.
Thank you. I know we talked about this at length in our work session a while back, and it was about to.
You did, but we want to make sure we answer all your
Is
questions.
there any questions for Monica? If not, Monica? say
No,
bye.
but you're doing a great job, and thank you for including the Conservancy again, so that we can have green print, have green space and all of that great stuff, and.
Well,
I
one of the
mean-
things I might ask if, I don't, is Chris Bacali in the room? She is. I'm gonna, if y'all will give her a moment, I'm gonna ask Chris to come up because one of the things I think will be useful is at the conclusion of the green print process, what I'd like to ask the Conservancy to do is take our report card that we're going to get and provide a presentation. Y'all get tired of hearing from Molly and myself. So I'm going to see if we can't get the Conservancy to come do a little brag on us game, because I think the public also likes to hear it from an outside source instead of hearing us brag on ourselves, because they don't necessarily think we're making the progress we should, so it's nice to have an outside perspective talk about that. So, Chris, do you want to add anything about the contract tonight? I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but Bruce, you want to add anything?
Just appreciate the chance to work with the city.
So that's Bruce Gilbert. In case you don't know, he's the current chair of the Conservancy Board, knows a little bit about the city, and and he said he's grateful for those that are watching it on microphone and can't hear it, that he's grateful for a chance to work with the city. But I'm happy to answer any questions. Again, this is one of the 2 or 3 precursors that you'll see us be presenting to John off and on as we move forward with having all the pieces we need for the comprehensive plan.
Thank you, Monica. Appreciate that.
No, you're just not done.
Christine, we thank you for being here along with our former mayor, Mr. Gilbert, who still left the city enough to serve on boards. Thank you so much. And the Green Space is doing an awesome job. And Madison is beautiful because of that. So if there are no more comments, we can get a motion to approve.
Mr. Mayor, I do have a comment, and I don't see this coming up for a vote. It's not on the agenda as a voting item. The objection that I expressed at our last meeting centers on process and the financial process. The city has budgeted $100,000, I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, John, for the comp plan this year. We have not given that contract to the sub who is going to the consultant who will be doing the bulk of that plan for us. So we don't know how much of that $100,000 is going to them. I feel like we're getting the cart before the horse if we start doing smaller contracts like this one for the Conservancy for $20,000. I understand there may be a couple other similar ones before we know really what our contract will be for the bulk of that report. I do not want to be in a situation where we have a couple of subs do their work, we pay them, and then we end up having insufficient amount to do what we need to it just, the process to me seems to be out of line. And I do think when I look at the agenda, Mayor, I was not anticipating a vote on this tonight. It's not under any agenda part saying a public hearing or a vote. I'm a little surprised that we're considering taking a vote. I would be opposed to taking a vote. I'm opposed to approving this contract until we can look at it again once the main contract is set for the consultant. It's not anything against the Conservancy. I mean, I know that they've done fine work for us in the past and probably will again, but I just don't think it's fiscally responsible to start doing the contracts in this order.
Mr. Mayor, may I?
Sure.
For those of us who have gone through the contracting process for the comp plan, this is exactly the process we followed before. We contracted with the Conservancy before. I didn't hear that same concern when we contracted for the transportation plan, which was also a component. These are small-based studies that we typically do that predate the comp plan. I believe that I stated at our last meeting, and I have reported to the manager, that we will be within the budget that we discussed in the office and the allocation that was afforded to us. Our department is just as responsible as any other department that brings forward a contract and says, we will still be able to be in budget. I would hope that the experience that we have had in contracting before and our experience in contracting with comp plans before would indicate that a department head knows when they're going to stay on budget or not. When we had a conversation with the city manager, the conversation was, we think it'll be about 200. We think we're going to have to break it over 2 years because we didn't want to inflate the budget, and we've done that in the past. And I can tell you as the department head, like any other department head that brought you a contract at your work session, that we're going to be able to stay within $100,000 for this budget year and $100,000 for next. If you don't have confidence in that, I understand that, but I am communicating to you that I can stay on budget, and my budget for the last 4 to 5 years has tendency to bail out other departments because I don't use all my budget. I'm very conscientious about my budget. And so I'm telling you that you can decide to approve the contract or not approve the contract tonight. I gave it into the city clerk as an item for contractual obligation. And I would like the same deference that is given to other department heads when they submit a contract, and it to be treated with the confidence that we can meet that goal.
And I think I would just like to say that we have to learn to trust our staff for the job that they're doing for our city. And I don't know about you guys, but we've been working with DDA for many, many years. They're very confident in what they do. And they will not, I just don't think I think she's gonna stay on the budget.
Did
Do
you
have any
say the
comment that you
DDA?
want-
What
Did
is
you
the-
mean
No, I
the-
mean planning.
meant the
I mean green
Conservancy?
space, I'm sorry. Yeah.
It's okay.
That's right.
I'm frustrated because I see
Right,
other
right.
contracts come through and they move through with
Yeah.
support, and I'm frustrated because we have a known supporter who has raised money and helped us with our green space efforts throughout time, and is not enjoying the same support, and I think it's because of me, not because of them.
Thank you, Monica.
Mr. Mayor, may I-
Sure.
Oh, that's
sure.
totally inappropriate, totally inappropriate.
But,
I'm making
Councilmember
objections
Joyce-
based on best practices economics here. There's nothing personal in this whatsoever, and I object to that last comment, Monica.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilmember Blanton.
a question for the city attorney. Is this ripe for a vote tonight?
It is on the agenda as a contract. There is no public hearing needed, but it is up to you all to vote on it or not.
With that being said, Mr. Mayor, I move we approve the green print contract as presented.
Second.
Are there any more discussion? All in favor, show of hands? 1, 2. Opposed is none? One opposed, let the record show,
I'm
Councilmember.
opposed, Mayor.
Unopposed.
Yeah. For the
Councilmember
reasons
Joyce.
I stated earlier. Nothing about the Conservancy, simply the process.
Vote is carried. Thank you so much. Variance standard, Councilmember Wagenhauser.
Okay, fine. Yeah, okay. Okay, so, I wanted to talk about the variance standards, and I know we all, I think everybody on the council cares about what's, especially recently, what I feel like I've been seeing recently, which is sort of a free giveaway for every time that somebody comes in for a variance. But I remember sitting down with planning 1,000 years ago, before I was ever part of this, and my understanding, I learned that the variances were like, gold at the end of the rainbow. You just didn't get those at all. So, and there was discussion when we were talking about variances in the past that we really probably need to look at it, get our standards kind of going a little bit better. But at any rate, the point is this: it's going to be quick because there's work to be done, and I'm going to let Monica at least line out what the real approach is when we start looking at wanting to kind of maybe improve our variance approval process, or our variance process, because there's more involved with that. There's conditional use and that sort of thing.
Sure.
Would
So-
you mind?
Not at all. So we've known for a couple of years that there are ways to improve our administrative review standards. And so as you move through our zoning process, there are 4 types of zoning actions. There are rezonings, there are text amendments, there are conditional uses, and there are variances. We've had multiple trainings with Frank Jenkins that y'all have sat in on, where y'all have discussed your concerns with meeting all the standards. I think that was one that Rick has brought up more than once when we have a very specific type of application. Does it need to meet all of them, one of them, some of them? You heard Carrie's frustration tonight with conditional uses, waving back and forth. We've heard on multiple occasions Eric encouraged the mayor and council. It says all of the standards. We're supposed to make sure that we examine them all. So we do know that there are various improvements that we can make. There's the other one we need to look at that Molly and I've talked about on multiple occasions is in 2000, when we adopted the ordinance, we went to a line-by-line land use ordinance. And in doing so, we allowed the public to start making text amendments because we thought it was going to be just a text amendment to the land use table. Instead, what we see is people like trying to edit sections of the ordinance that they don't have the expertise to edit, but it serves them. And no fingers being pointed, we have allowed that. So we think there are a couple improvements. If we're going to look at it, we suggest that we look at all of the standards at one time for the zoning action review process. We believe that we can do that in-house with Jay's counsel, and we would again recommend that the person who wrote the state law on zoning be the person to review it. And so we think that the county has had their update since, and we have not. So there have been a couple of things that changed. There have been some state standards that have changed. The state has reclassified conditional uses as opposed to variances. And we've even discussed the potential, don't get crazy, the potential of zoning ordinances, the variances being administrative decisions maybe by the Planning Commission. Y'all could defer it down to them instead of variances coming up to you. They would only come up to you on appeal, kind of like HPC and the corridor. So we have some options to consider. So what we'd like to do is not take one step forward on any rewrite until y'all tell us what you want, because we want to receive that support once we get in front of your dais. So if you could tell us what you'd like to see to occur and the breadth of that, and share that with the city manager, I'm sure he will instruct us accordingly.
Perfect. Thanks, Monica. And I think we can do that, if I may.
Sure, go ahead.
That's maybe in the next work session, we can kind of at least, I mean, we don't necessarily have to identify anything right this minute with you, except that, or would you like something identified?
And just to be clear, we're going to need, if you decide to proceed, whatever volume of what you proceed on, it's not but maybe 4 or 5 pages. It's a procedural thing, and I know that there are many of you that are going to want to go and make sure that there is adequate public hearing and notice and all those
Right.
wonderful things. It would take us probably 3 months start to finish to write it, review it, and have Jay look at it. I know that there have been times where we've adopted moratoriums. You did ask about that. Just to be clear, we have done that in the past, but that has changed in how you do it. It has to be in a limited fashion. So
Right.
we would need at least 3 months to prep it and get it to Jay and to Frank and get it back and meet the public law. But what we need for you to do is to tell us the breadth that what you want us to look at. One other thing, at one time, there was concerns about the city manager doing any form of administrative review. We would like to also put that back on the table, that some things don't necessarily need to come to this forum if the manager will review those. So there are a couple
That's
things
great.
like that.
Thank you. So the point is, it's what we're looking at here is not like we're changing anything. We're just looking at the administrative review and what those standards are and improving those. And you put my cart before the horse, because I would propose a 3-month moratorium on variances until because right now it's so loosey-goosey. People show up with one check mark on their request for a variance. They haven't met the majority of the standards, and we've had that. So I'd like for us to be really clear about how we are approaching variances with the help of staff. And as Monica said, it's a few pages. It's just a few pages that kind of need to be reviewed, and it's not like we're changing any zoning. We're just looking at the administrative review of it, and how can we improve our administrative review. And I like the idea of even letting maybe the planning commission or the manager himself, who might be able to manage at one level some of that without coming here, like you said, except for an appeal.
And just to be clear before anybody runs with that in the press, we're not asking for that to be at the planning department level in any way, shape, or form.
No, I'm so sorry. I misspoke, as I want
Just
to do sometimes. Thank you.
There are some communities where the planning commission is actually the definitive final body. And then if it doesn't meet the standards or they feel like they've been abused in some way, then it comes up on appeal like the way HPC works. So you have the right to devolve that down to a lower level. That's just one of the things. But after hearing the conversation tonight about conditional uses and the problem we've had with text amendments, where we have 2 attorneys writing opposing text amendments to serve their own
Yep.
pleasure, and we've ended up in a lawsuit over it, we think the whole standard would benefit from a nice, clean, new version.
Yay.
Yes.
And if I can ask, would it be possible, Jay, I don't know how the council feels about a moratorium at all, but would it be could we vote for a moratorium, a 3-month moratorium?
You would need to amend the agenda to add that as an item first,
Okay,
and vote to put that on there, and then vote for the time period and what you are instructing staff to do, which is, what it hears like is not to accept variance applications for that period of time.
that's right, and just for 3 months. I mean, we're not trying to make it onerous on anybody who might feel like they really need a variance.
So is there anyone coming before us within the next 3 months, Monica or Molly, with the variance?
I'm not trying to undermine Betsy.
Oh, go
Just-
for it, yeah.
Just to- no, I wouldn't do that. Just to be clear, we don't get a lot of variances, but they are starting to pick up. And so, a pool here, a pool there, a side setback, lot sizes. The ones that are really detrimental, that undermine the ordinance, are the lot size and width. So those are the ones that are most concerning, but we're not going to have a rash of them. Within 3 months, we might have 3. We don't do more than 1 a month, do we? And so I think moratoriums are about gauging your exposure versus how quickly you can move. So.
Mr. Mayor, may I?
Sure.
And how were you envisioning coming to some agreement in this 3-month period? How are we going to be coming up with this? What's the plan? Are we just going to talk about it and then decide which of the?
I believe we are going to rely,
On staff.
staff
Yeah.
was going to have a look at that using Frank's language and the work that he's done on it, and tie that in so that we kind of almost, it was kind of like we're not necessarily conforming anymore to some of the things, since we haven't made any changes since 2000. So I was only going to take it at the recommendation. I think we're asking staff to say, look at this. We don't want to have to do this anymore, have these questions about the conditional or about the variances. Let's let it be less willy-nilly. Let's let it be meet these standards, or you don't get what you want, kind of thing. So I think that's, and while I can't really quite articulate exactly what I think it's going to look like, I do know that staff is able to get in there and refine it, like they've done with some of our other ordinance, including our light industrial and that sort of thing, to bring it up to speed, bring it up to where we are today, based on some of the state level work that's been done since 2000.
Because, we all, obviously, we struggle with these variances and these conditional uses, but they play an important role in our zoning ordinance, because they allow the rare exceptions to the rules that do apply well to 95% of the people, but not everybody, and that's the whole point of the variances. But we struggle with them every time we have them, there's no doubt about it. And I mentioned earlier consistency. I don't think any of us have been overly consistent in how we're voting on variances, because they are so different from property to property, and that is the point of the variance in the first place. But I wouldn't be opposed to trying to firm it up and find a little bit more consistency. I don't know about the 3-month moratorium myself, but I'd be interested to hear what other people think.
Well, it looked like staff said it would probably take them 3 months. It looks like, to get everything.
Well, didn't staff kind of kick back a lot of that to us? Was your comment, not Monica, that some of the decisions about how to do that, you're looking to us for direction to you?
What
Did
we
I
would
hear that
like
right?
is, do you think we need to look at the full breadth of zoning actions? Do we need to look at text amendments, conditional uses, and variances? Based on your decision-making over the last 3 or 4 years, I think we need to look at all 3. But that is not going to take a humongous amount of time. Most of the time you're hearing is process. So we can probably have something drafted within 15 to 20 days and then sit down at a work session with y'all and go, is this the breadth of what you want us to cover, or do you want to look at something else? Carrie, when you were, your brow was knitted when we were talking about the conditional use, and Molly leaned over and she said, maybe we need to propose some specific conditions for. So what you might hear out of us is, here are the standards for reviewing conditional uses, but we think that you don't need to change those for conditional uses. We think that problem can be addressed in a different section of the ordinance at a later time. So I'm supposing that we could have something drafted probably within the next 2 to 3 weeks, get it to Jay first for sufficiency and to John, and then sit down with the council and say, did we look at everything you want? And then let's get an opinion from Frank. Then it takes us about 60 days to move it through the zoning process. That's the only reason it's 90 days. It's not a 90-day work product. This is probably a 2-week worth product and a 2-week review product.
Mr. Mayor, may I?
Sure.
For my input on this, I think I'm not at all opposed to trying to find some structure and some consistency, if you will. I think it's a little optimistic. I've never heard Frank say, I mean, I've asked that it needs to meet all or some or none. He kind of leaves it very open. Hopefully, maybe something has changed. Also, there have been a lot of cases where we don't even agree if it meets the standard or not. I mean, in some people's mind it does, and others it doesn't. It becomes a little tenuous there, but I'm not opposed to trying to improve our process.
Good. So would the council like to add this to the agenda tonight? And vote on it to get staff.
Only if we want to vote for a moratorium.
Right, for the
Otherwise,
moratorium.
it's just
want a
discussion.
moratorium. I don't think we need a moratorium. Excuse me, I was thinking to go ahead and let them work through the details of what needs to be done, but I don't see a moratorium needing to be added to
I
this
get that.
tonight.
Okay. Are you okay with that?
Yeah, that's
Councilmember?
fine, it works for me. I mean,
Okay,
it's
good.
maybe the moratorium was a little bit of overkill. I just want to get this work done and get that administrative review refined so that we,
I think moratoriums are more important when we're doing huge overhauls, like we did the 2005 residential overhaul and when we did the 2015 multifamily overhaul. It's really to prohibit those kind of big things from taking impact while you're considering standards.
makes sense.
These are pretty set. Some of these are set by case law, and some of these are set by the ZPL, zoning procedures law. So some of these they won't be changing a lot. What will be changing is the instructional guidelines, I think, that Rick was looking for. Do 2, is 1 enough, 2 enough, that kind of thing. Y'all have that discretion and y'all get to decide.
Right.
The thing about y'all not agreeing on what meets the standard, it doesn't, Rick, I can't help you with that. That's still gonna be y'all's.
no, that's fine, I'm fine with that. Thank you. Thanks, Monica, so much, really appreciate that.
Thanks, Betsy, appreciate that. Discuss council assignments of liaison to city committees, commissioners, and authorities. Councilmember Joyce.
Yeah, Mayor, I had put this on the work session agenda for our last meeting a couple weeks ago before I realized that our colleague, Mr. Councilman Melanowski, was off gallivanting in Greece, which kind of kiboshed the whole idea of discussing it then. Jim, have you had a chance, since you haven't been back long, to give any discussion to this? Or it's kind of I mean, you're the main reason I brought it up. But we can easily put this off to a work session where it probably more properly belongs.
I would feel more comfortable with that. I feel like an observer tonight because of having missed the work session. If we could have that conversation at the work session, I think that would be appropriate.
Are you saying you've been watching the movie tonight?
Excuse me?
Never mind. Yeah, I would be more than glad to postpone this to the next work session. And that way you can all give it more thought. Basically, I know we need to get you lined up somewhere, and it gives other people an opportunity to think whether they want to continue in the present assignments or move around a bit. There's, as I said before, there's some benefits, I think, to moving after a period of time to different commissions so we can kind of broaden our experience with different aspects of city government. But mainly it was for you, Jim, to give you assignment that you felt comfortable with. So
Sure.
I'll be more than glad to postpone that until the next work session.
So let me ask Councilmember Malinowski a question. Are you currently now serving on any commission board?
I'm not necessarily on commission boards, but I inherited a couple committees and boards, ex officio with like convention and visitors, and family connection, those kinds of commitments. So I don't feel overwhelmed right now, so I would consider some other appointments or an appointment, but I don't want to overextend. I'm still getting my toes in the sand. And I think it's really important that we all acknowledge and accept that. And I feel like I'm watching a tennis match sometimes because y'all have obviously had some serious conversations about some of these things before I stepped onto the council. So,
Thank you.
Okay, we'll postpone it for a week and a half, whenever the next work session is.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Sure, thank you. GMA Medical Declaration Document, Ms. Robinson.
Good evening, Council.
Good evening.
I'm here tonight to request the council's approval to execute, the employer declaration, which is to update the employee's medical coverage under the GMA Life and Health Insurance Plan. So the proposed change transitions the city's current medical plan from a 90/70/500 option to the 90/70/1500 option, which is to go into effect on January 1st of 2026. All other benefits, including our dental and vision, as well as life insurance, are going to remain unchanged. So this recommendation is just following. We do an annual benefits review in collaboration with GMA and their representatives to reflect on the city's commitment to providing a quality and affordable benefits package to our employees while managing the increasing healthcare costs. So moving from the 90/70/500 to the 90/70/1500 deductible helps the city to align in our strategy about managing rising healthcare premiums. And you all have heard about budget a couple of times on tonight. And so this is just our attempt to try to offer a comprehensive coverage package for our employees while maintaining a good provider network and good benefit structure. So the increase that from the 500 to the 1500 on deductible is going to help us to manage annual premium costs and preserve some budget stability while also minimizing premium in cost to our employees, which is super important. One of the things, we're in the middle of open enrollment now, and we have announced to our employees that as a result of this change, the thing that they will immediately notice is the increase in their copay of $10. So when they go to the doctor for regular visits, they'll experience, instead of a $25 copay, a $35 copay. If they have to see a specialty doctor or physician, their copay will go from $35 to $45. Obviously, there nationwide is some premium insurance costs. So for those employees who do have family or dependent coverage, they're going to see a slight increase in their premiums. Otherwise, employees that have employee-only coverage will not realize any difference in the plan. So I'm here tonight asking for your approval of the employer declaration, which will allow us to continue with our life and health benefit plan with GMA. I'm happy to entertain any questions you may have at this time.
Thank you so much.
you,
There are no
Mr.
questions. We can get a motion on a second to approve this.
As usual, Mayor, I do have a question. May I? So the bulk of the change is the increase in the deductible?
That's correct.
Has that change been brought to the attention of our employees? Do you present the proposal to them before it came to us, or how does that work?
To every employee who has had an opportunity to attend open enrollment sessions, and we offered 4 sessions in one day where we had 3 representatives from our benefits providers be present to answer questions. I've also sent the information out to our employees via email, so the information has been made available. Now, can I guarantee that all employees have heard this information prior to tonight? I can't say that matter-of-factly because all of them did not attend the open enrollment sessions, but for those that did, that information was presented. Yes, sir.
And my guess is that no one likes paying more money than they have before. The initial reaction, how would you characterize the reaction of our employees to this proposed change?
I think I would be out of order if I said no one made a eyebrow raise to a $10 increase to their copay. But the thing that we're seeing is that for the most part, our employees need to utilize their insurance, and the City of Madison has invested in a very nice health care package for our employees. That's one of the things that I use to recruit. I hang our hat on the fact that we have a very nice benefit package, and we pay 100% of employee-only portion. So for those that raise their eyebrows, I'm sure that they may feel that in their pockets, and I don't want to minimize their feelings about that because they have every right to feel that way. But their city does a great job of taking care of them healthcare-wise. And I hope that they understand that. And if they have any questions, they can always come to Human Resources.
Thank you, Karen.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. If there are no more questions, if we could get a motion and a second to approve the GMA Medical Declaration document for Ms. Robertson.
So moved.
Second.
Are there any more discussion? All in favor, show of hands. Opposed is none, vote unanimously. Thank you so much. This time we have public comments. Yes, Chris?
This is long overdue. I'm Chris Hodges. I'm the chair at the Board of Trustees at the Madison Morgan Cultural Center. And I just want to thank you guys. I know I've written, some of you, I wrote John a thank you note, but for your support and your belief in arts and culture in the city of Madison. I just got back from South Arts in Lake City, South Carolina, where a woman named Darla Moore came home and invested in arts, and it's just a thriving economic development tool. So this is long overdue. Y'all gave us an increase, and I cannot tell you how much we appreciate that. So thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate what the Cultural Center do for our community. Thank you, Chris.
This is not working.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.
It looks good, though, with that flower on it. Have you actually received the increased check at the Cultural Center?
Yes.
Have you spent it?
Oh, yeah. It's a nonprofit, as you know, and I know you all have experience with nonprofits, and
that.
it's a churn and burn, and Eric is on the board there, so he sees all the good work we're doing. In fact, there's a Gary Hudson retrospective next Sunday opening at 2 p.m. So it's going to be his black and white charcoal series, and actually some of the pieces will be for sale, and they're very reasonable. And Christy is donating all the proceeds from those sales back to the Cultural Center. So we've got a lot of really good things going on. So
Awesome.
Thank you so much. Mr. Chapman, seems like you're...
Good evening, everyone. Back again, talking about my water problem that I got. We had a heavy rain last week, and my whole backyard got water up again. And I've yet been looking for the city to do something about it, because the city levied Silver Lake built no home up there, but Doc gave you the right engineer to do the work that they supposed to be done. And I got a serious problem with my backyard. And I'm beginning to think there's something, because I'm a black man, that's the problem. Hey, I don't know, but I've been back and forth to the city for the last 10 years trying to get something did. And I will put over 50-some thousand dollars in my lot back down there to keep the water from watering my yard away. And mostly everybody who worked for the city had told me that they were gonna do something about it. But when it came down to it, nobody did nothing about it. And I can see now, the city council, I don't never have nothing to say about it. Couple of times with the city, people who work for the city had been there and seen the problem, and they said, sure, we'll get it fit. And it had not been fit yet. So, I right now, I keep on coming up here, worrying y'all about my problem that I got, because y'all do something about it. Okay, all right, well, I'm not gonna say too much more about it. Y'all have a wonderful day.
Thank you, sir. Any more comments from the public?
So I've been wanting to do this for a while, but I wanted to do it when I wasn't asking for anything anymore. So if you will, first of all, I apologize for the hat. Not normally my style to show up at a meeting like this wearing a baseball cap, but I was tied up on the phone all day trying to get the equipment for our in-trolley experience and ran out of time to get here, so I apologize for this. Mr. Mayor, you'd asked me to come back and talk to the council when I had some success to show, and I just want to share some early success. We started haunted history tours. I would say our first tour was good, not great, but then the three of us partnering on it, got together and had a pretty spirited conversation, and our second tour got across the board 5-star reviews on Google, and one of them said that our tour was better than the Savannah Haunted History Tour. And I mean, Savannah consistently ranks up there as one of the most haunted cities in America. So I think we're on to a really good thing. We have bookings from Monroe, we have bookings from Atlanta, and things are really picking up. The historic tours, I'm hoping to start them by the end of October. We're waiting for the audio-visual equipment, thus the hat. That was the call, just trying to get that equipment into the trolley so we can start to do those tours. We're going to offer holiday lights tours to take people around to the lights. We're going to do a Mary Matty Express for kids, so think Polar Express. We're partnering with a very, I can't say because it's not finalized, but let's just say it's a very well-known family Christmas tradition out on Dixie Highway that you may be familiar with, that we're talking to and hoping to be able to work with them. And we're doing weddings and transportation. And so we've got some good things going there. I want to say some thank yous, the kiosk, everything. Mr. Mayor, I did want to make the kiosk look like the old police shack, but then I took Ken Coker's blog and read it to my wife, and she's like, let me get this straight. You want to build the kiosk to look like a building that apparently everybody hated and was glad when it was gone. So I didn't win that. I didn't win that battle. But, I've asked you again and again to go into uncharted waters. I mean, Madison has been around since 1809. I'm pretty sure I'm the first person that came to this city and said, what I'd like to do is film a game intro video for a professional hockey team, and can you have the police chase me out of town? And we put that together, and I think it's going to be really good for the city of Madison. So the three words that I think of in my work with the city of Madison so far are creative, collaborative, and compassionate. So creative, meaning I know that I'm asking you again and again to move into territory that's brand new, and everybody has come up with creative solutions, working together in collaborative style, and compassionate. I feel like everybody's really kind of understood what I'm going through, the risks I'm taking, what I'm trying to accomplish, and I think that's been great. I'm not going to thank any individuals because there's too many to thank. I've only got 2 minutes and 12 seconds, and I don't want to leave anybody out. But I will say this, I never got the benefit of getting to know Mr. Marshall Williams, what everybody knows as Woody. You have people who are good public servants and serve the city well, and then you have people who are treasures to the city. I never got to know Woody, but I did get to know Ken Coker. And Ken has just been unbelievable in helping me and sharing his knowledge, and I can't not thank him specifically. I've had a lot of people say to me, how'd you get that approved? You're like, well, how did you possibly get Madison to agree to that? I have no idea what they're talking about. Right? I've had no such experience. And I think maybe it's what you're asking and how you're asking for it is the real issue, because I've had nothing but support. And I do promise you that I think this is going to be good for Madison. My whole career, I've worked to try to find win-win outcomes. Perfect example is the chili cook-off. Tried to talk my family into entering the chili contest. Very quickly found out maybe not so much of a family business. They were not on board for that. Couldn't buy a tent, couldn't exhibit, and so we worked it out, creative solution that maybe I could block the end of East Jefferson. And I was standing there, I'm thinking to myself, this is great for me, great exposure, but also, and I hate to talk about things like this, nobody's gonna be a crazy and drive their pickup truck into our city event, go up East Jefferson and hurt people, because they're not driving through Mattie, you know, and it just felt like it was a really good thing there. Weddings, let's face it, people go to these venues, they got to go back to hotels, they party. Now they're going to be riding the trolley back, right? Instead of driving themselves. You know, I've been in public service myself. It's like the lighthouse analogy, right? All night long, ships go by the lighthouse, and nobody ever hears about the good ships, right, that go by. They only hear about the one that crashes. So I just want to thank the city council for being my lighthouse and get me past the rocks. And I'll close to say that I'm just so grateful. I thought I'd be met with cautious optimism. As I was at the chili cook-off all day long, what people kept saying is, we're so glad you're here. We're so glad you're here. And I'll just close by saying, so am I. Very glad that I'm here. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Hi, I'm Christine Watts with the Conservancy. I would also like to thank you for the trolley. We had lots of great conversations this weekend about your trolley. There's a wedding signing up soon. But really, I would like to thank you for your work in green space planning. Madison is very progressive. In 2004, the county and the city had the first countywide green print in the state. And from that point on, we just kind of improved it. Drilled down a little bit for the city of Madison, and the Conservancy is very much looking forward to doing that work again for y'all. So thank you very much.
Thank you. If there are no more comments, this council comes to a close.
Mayor, could I just add a kind of a comment of congratulations to Sarah and the Main Street program and the city staff that did such a great job at the aforementioned chili cook-off this past Saturday. It was a great day, and I think it was real successful. I just wanted to comment on that, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you.
And to Colleen and Absentia. Okay.
If we could get a motion to go into executive session to discuss personnel, please.
So moved.
Second.
Any more discussion? All in favor, show of hands. Opposed, none. We will go into executive session. Anybody needs to take a quick break?
Yes,
Feel
sir.
free to do so.
Mr. Mayor, yes, please.